This here is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and in this video we are gonna check how far ahead is Samsung now with the current S25 Ultra line compared to the S24 Ultra and the legendary S23 Ultra. And we're gonna be starting with a 4K 60 FPS video, day shooting. Then guys, we're gonna be also switching to the front camera. Then we're gonna be doing the zoom lens cycle switch test, then the photo test, then of course also night videos and photos. And in the end of this video, we're gonna know how better is the S24 Ultra compared to the predecessors and the predecessors of the predecessors, the S23. All right, let's start this journey, guys. 4K 60 FPS. On your left hand side you can observe the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, on the right the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and in the middle we have the new S25 Ultra. Is the S25 Ultra going to meet our expectations? This is something we would like to find out. Something that I checked in my pre-test: when HDR is disabled by default, like right now it's disabled on all the phones, I have some problems with rendition of the sky, and I had to actually enable the new HDR mode on the S25 Ultra. Although the S24 Ultra and the S23 Ultra also do support HDR, but now for this comparison I have disabled HDR on all of the phones. And we can try to see really what is going to happen with the sky rendition. Honestly, I have been happy with the video I'm getting from the S23 Ultra as well as the S24 Ultra, and you notice the stabilization from Samsung is really good on those phones. Now, what I can directly see while shooting the video on the viewfinder, that the skin tone on the S25 Ultra looks better, guys. The S23 Ultra makes me a bit more white. The S24 Ultra is on the darker side, and the S25 Ultra looks very good. Although I guess the footage is pretty similar from all of those phones. Back to the main camera, 4K 60, and now let's try to run here. Okay, so this is a tricky scenario. It's not flat, so I have to climb these stairs and do some running in the mountains, guys. But this is a very good option to check the stabilization. Alright, let's keep running. Okay. Yep, we're here. I'm gonna do a 360 spin, guys. The 4K 60 video should be very good on all the phones. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. I have now switched to 4K 30 to be able also to do the zoom lens cycle test on the S23 Ultra. So we're gonna go to the ultra wide on the S25 Ultra as well, and ultra wide on the S24 Ultra. This is now ultra wide footage, guys. Again, it's 4K 30 FPS, so that I can now engage and test the zoom. So now let's go from ultra wide to one here as well, one here as well. Now let's do 3x from the S23 Ultra, 3x on the S25, and 3x on the S24 Ultra. This is how it looks. Now guys, I'm gonna go and do 10x on the S25 Ultra, and 5x on the S25 and on the S24 Ultra, and now 10x again on all three phones, guys. So the 10x zoom on the S24 and S25 is using the 5x. I'm gonna try to shake around and see stabilization. How much can we go? We can go 20x on the S23 Ultra. This is 20x, guys, here on the S25, and you can just see how smooth it is. All right, one more time, S23 Ultra, S25 Ultra, and I'm gonna go and do 20x as well on the S24, and now I'm gonna go back to 1x, 1x, and 1x. All right, we are still at 4K 30. Now I'm gonna go to the ultra wide, and I want to initiate the zoom lens cycle and transition test. So this is, guys, the S23 Ultra. All right, so you can see I'm gonna try to do this as fast as I can, and this is how it looks. This is the S25 Ultra. All right, just doing it again as fast as I can, and this is the S24 Ultra, doing it here as well. All right, S24 Ultra, This is 0 to 6 S25 Ultra, guys. Let's go and do the maximum. Right, ultra wide, and then the maximum 20x ultra wide, and 20x ultra wide, 20x. Now let's do the S23 ultra wide, 20x, ultra wide, 20x, and now let's also do here 20x. And yeah, let's see, guys. I think this is close. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. It's very hard to get the very similar shot, but I think that the S24 Ultra and the S25 Ultra are very similar, and the S23 Ultra is almost there but just a tiny bit softer. Right, and in terms of speed, I cannot confirm that we are seeing some significant improvements. Alright, one more time, this is the S23 Ultra. One more time, this is now the S25 Ultra. For sure it's faster, but then the transition isn't really that joyful. And now do it one more time on the S24 Ultra, guys. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Another 4K 60 video with the sun piercing through the sky, and now the sun is illuminating my face, and I hope that the video is well exposed everywhere. But now I'm going to turn right against the sun with my back, which means that now the phones are really facing the sun, and this is, guys, going to be a tricky scenario. Now you can see it's not perfectly sunny, but even better because we have clouds, we have also the blue sky and the sun, and the phones are going to show you how well or not well they're able to control the whole exposure, which means the highlights, right? And then also, of course, the shadows. All the bright spots, are they very visible, or let's say not visible at all, overexposed? And all the dark shots, right, are they also fine? Right, and now I'm gonna go behind the camera and also test the stabilization. All right, and now I'm going to start the stabilization testing. All right, this is 4K 60. Okay, all the phones are doing a nice job, and I didn't expect anything else. Stabilization is very good with Samsung Video. Right, now I'm going to give you a 360 spin one more time so that we are able to assess what is happening, guys. Okay, the big question here, what did Samsung change? Because remember, right, the only change between the S25 Ultra and the S24 Ultra is just the new ultra wide hardware change. And speaking about ultra wide, let's now jump to the ultra wide. Now I have switched the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra to 30 FPS because sadly, yes, I cannot do 60 FPS and UHD or 4K and just cycle to the cameras. But the S25 Ultra in the middle and the S24 Ultra on the right are now using 4K 60 ultra wide. So I was saying that the only change, the only hardware change on the S25 Ultra is the new 50 megapixel ultra wide camera. But is this going to translate into some real gains? Hence my idea was, we need to understand what Samsung did with the processing, because remember the S25 Ultra now uses a Snapdragon 8 Elite, so there is a brand new ISP, and also besides this new chip, Samsung was bragging about the new processing capabilities. Let me know what you think down below, and I'm gonna go back to 111. And guys, it's time to do the zoom lens cycle test. So I'm gonna go to ultra wide everywhere. Okay, now I'm gonna go directly to 3x and 3x. All right, I can see that the image on the left from the S23 Ultra has a colder white balance compared to the other two phones. Now guys, I'm gonna go to 5x manually on my S23 Ultra, 5x on the S25 Ultra, 5x also on the S24 Ultra. Alright, and remember the S25 Ultra and S24 Ultra are still shooting 4K 60. The S23 is doing 4K 30, so that I'm able to cycle to the cameras. Now 10x optical zoom, guys, the only phone from those three with 10x optical. And now guys, 10x also on the S25 Ultra and 10x on the S24 Ultra, and they're using a crop from the 50 megapixel 5x camera. And the thing is this now better than the S23 Ultra? Alright, let me just try to show you now the S25 Ultra object, the S24 Ultra, now the object is here, and the S23 Ultra. And from what I can see, by the way, on 10x, all these three phones seems to produce a whole different image. Alright, just look at the grass, but also, you know, the colors. This is interesting. Let's check some details here. Again, I'm still on that sweet 10x. Alright, Honestly guys, S24 Ultra and S25 Ultra are very similar. One more test here. Yeah, very similar footage on the S24 and S25 Ultra, although the grass is a little bit different on the S25 Ultra. Just take a look at this, guys. Alright, now back to the object, and now let's go and do 20. I'm gonna do 20. This is now 20x, 20x also on the S25 Ultra, and 20x on the S24 Ultra. Alright, how is this looking, guys? I think all are doing a nice job. The S23 Ultra isn't that sharp on 20x. Look at the S25 footage, right? You can see more details, and the same with S24 Ultra. The same level of details, very similar image, guys. Let's check also this here. Yeah, absolutely the same, but the S23 Ultra on 20x just tends to give a softer image. And now it's time to check the night video, or let's say video in low light, and I'm using UHD 60 FPS. So I'm inside of a parking lot, because here there is a lot of lights, guys, and this is on purpose. Just see what happens on the S23 Ultra and on the S24 Ultra and on the S25 Ultra, and I do have a feeling that the S25 Ultra is just being able to really process my face and skin tone very naturally. By the way, there's gonna be some cars with their lights illuminating me, hence, right, another chance to see what is going to happen with the processing. And from what I see right now, really Samsung optimized at least the front video. Alright, front video now looks really like it should look. I'm not greenish and I'm not yellowish, and this is also given the fact I am inside with a lot of artificial lighting. This usually doesn't make it so easy for the phones, and you can see here, check this light, right? It's a bit of overexposed on the S23 Ultra, probably just about right on the S24, and it's okayish on the S25 Ultra, but now my skin tone looks to be alright. I'm gonna do a spin for you as well, alright, so that you can see what happens. And now, guys, I'm going to turn to the back camera. Now, surprisingly, all the three phones look okay. Now, with the back camera, all three phones in these low light conditions are able to present nice colors, right? And I don't really see a lot of the issues that I've seen in some other videos, but there is no noticeable noise or detail loss on the S23 Ultra or even the S24 Ultra, right? It could be also that it's not so dark, guys, but honestly, for me, this is really a low light scenario, and with all these artificial lights, it's even harder to get something to work. And right now, I'm quite happy with all these passing cars and with all the lights and with the reflections. I'm quite happy with the results that I'm getting, and I'm gonna try to start running to test the low light stabilization. Alright, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Now let's take a close look at the photos. In the center, you're going to see the S25 Ultra. On the left, the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and on your right, you're going to see the S24 Ultra. This is a photo shot with the main camera. How do we know this, guys? The aperture is 1.7. So this is 1x main camera, and it's interesting to see how similar and at the same time different the S23 is from the S24 and the S25 Ultra. Overall, the S24 and the S25 Ultra are just a tiny bit sharper than the S23 Ultra. Color rendition is like almost the same on S24 Ultra and S25 Ultra. Another shot from the 1x camera, and we pretty much noticed the same, right? Like the S23 Ultra, just a tiny bit softer. It's not bad, guys, just a tiny bit different, and sometimes also the white balance is a bit on the colder side. Now, if we have to pixel peep, which is pretty much what we do in these videos here, you can see, right, the S25 Ultra and the S24 Ultra are very similar. Now, this is a bit more on the yellow side. This again is a bit more on the blue side. So besides the fact that the S23 Ultra image is just a tiny bit softer, I wouldn't say that it's really so different. Let's talk about the ultra wide. Remember, we have a brand new 50 megapixel ultra wide that is an upgrade compared to the 12 megapixel ultra wide from the S23 Ultra and the 12 megapixel ultra wide on the S24 Ultra. But not only is this more in terms of megapixel, guys. The aperture of the new ultra-wide camera is 1.9 versus the f2.2 on the S24 Ultra and the S23 Ultra, which means that the ultra-wide should be able to handle more light in low light scenarios. But in terms of quality, I won't say this is a mind-blowing improvement. In fact, in this picture you can see again S24, S25 and S23 are really very similar, even with those being 12 megapixels. Another ultra-wide shot, let's see what happens here. If we are to zoom in and start to pixel peep, yeah, what we can see is, yeah, besides of course the obvious color rendition, the S23 Ultra is just different from the S25 Ultra and the S24. Everything else is almost on par, right? Even if we try to pixel peep and zoom the lines here, you can see they exist everywhere. Let's zoom up things. We are now at 3x optical zoom territory. And again, guys, how would you notice? Pay attention. The aperture is 2.4 because the 3x camera is almost about the same in all these phones. And I do believe that eventually the main differences between the S25 Ultra camera and the S24 and S23 Ultra is going to be in the zoom domain. Now, this is a 3x shot and you can see S24 Ultra is absolutely the same as the S25 Ultra, and this is why I'm just saying like S23 Ultra definitely is more distinctive. It renders the white balance on the colder side. This is no drama whatsoever. Let's start to zoom in, guys, and this is what I wanted to show you. Like, the S23 Ultra image is way softer, but also feels more organic. It really looks like a photo. And the S25 Ultra and the S24 Ultra, a bit more of a sharpened, and you can see here this thing, the edges. But now see what happens when we go to the 5x territory, because remember, the S24 Ultra introduced a brand new 50 megapixel 5x camera. How do we know? It's f3.4. This is the aperture, and here, guys, I need to use a 5x. There is a crop from the 3x 10 megapixel optical sensor with the aperture of 2.4. And guys, I think this goes without saying here. Clearly the S25 Ultra and the S24 Ultra really are better than the S23 Ultra. If we are to even pixel peep and try to identify, like, is really the S25 Ultra 5x image better than the S24 Ultra? No, I cannot really justify this, guys. To me, it looks like absolutely the same, with same defects, with the same rendition, with the same visual representation. And yeah, clearly it's better than the 5x crop from the 3x on the S23 Ultra. And so that we're sure, I took another sample. This is again 5x on all the phones. Again here, it's a 5x crop from the 3x optical. Let's now take the zoom to the 10x territory. The S23 Ultra has a 10 megapixel 10x optical camera. The aperture is 4.9, and on the S25 Ultra and the S24 Ultra, we are using a crop from the 5x 50 megapixel camera. How do we notice? It's still f3.4. And now, the main question, guys, is 10x now losing from the new 5x crop from the 50 megapixel 5x camera? If you ask me, I would say no. Because again, this picture here looks just so much better, and it might not be the best picture that you see. Honestly, still the S25 Ultra 10x from the 5x is better compared to the S24 Ultra, at least the way it looks to me. But in this case, I will still prefer the 10x shot from the S23 Ultra. Way more organic, and the details are still here. And this here is the 30x scenario, where again, all start to degrade. But guys, here we can clearly see a noticeable improvement, because this here in the S25 Ultra is far better than what we see on the S24 Ultra. Yeah, even I would say comparable with the S23 Ultra. But if I really have to pixel peep, you can see that on the 30x, you know, from the 10x crop, optical 10x on the S23 Ultra, we can still see the blue color here on the cheeks, and this information is not here. But overall, here I do believe still the S23 Ultra nailed it, but the S25 Ultra is absolutely better than the S24 Ultra. Just take a look at this. Like, here we have some shadows and some highlights, and we can clearly see it's a nose. And on the S24 Ultra, guys, yeah, this is just like a absolute 2D flat drawing. And here another interesting scenario where we're using crops from the 5x on the S25 Ultra and the S24 Ultra, and again a crop from the 10x 10 megapixel optical from the S23 Ultra. And just take a look at this, guys, right? Now, for sure, there is some improvement in the zoom algorithm and processing because it's the same camera. But just take a look right here, we still have some texture and some details, right? You can clearly recognize that we have an eye here, and this information is just not there on the S24 Ultra. See what happens when we go to something like 60x, again with the crops from the highest available zoom cameras, guys. Clearly, S24 Ultra lags behind the S25, and in this particular scenario, I'm just starting to think, hey, the S25 Ultra, probably with the new ISP and all the AI stuff, is able to show some muscle here. Although I think it loses the natural detail, right? Like the fine detail is not there anymore. And I do believe that some of these things are just like pure AI. Just take a look at this, guys, here. We can see the nice transition between the shadow and the highlights, like we have a volume and texture. And here we, have something that is more flat, but overall, if you don't have to pixel peep, S25 Ultra, not that bad. But what happens when we reach 100x, guys? This is 100x, and yeah, there are some people that are having dinner or whatever, like coffee, and even in this particular scenario, the S24 Ultra managed to be a bit better than the S25 Ultra. Who said portraits? This is a portrait with the main camera. Now the S25 Ultra footage is on the right. Here we have the S23 Ultra, and here we have the S24 Ultra. Now guys, Samsung is known for the good portrait, which means you get a pretty nice cutout everywhere, you know, here, and the details and the skin tone is quite good. But pay attention, guys, the S25 Ultra comes to be a bit more natural, and I'm on purpose wearing like the most colorful clothes that I have to just see you know, the phone's exposure and color rendition. This is the true color of my jacket, and not like this, and probably also S24 Ultra coming very close, but at the end I would go for the S25 Ultra because just the skin really looks like my real skin. Another portrait shot, and now the S25 Ultra is in the middle, S24 Ultra on the right, and the S23 Ultra on the left. Guys, all of those are good, right? Anyway, S25 Ultra wins here for me, and you can just see even this cutout, right? If we have to like pixel peep, yeah, the S23 Ultra was probably a bit better here, but nevertheless, guys, the color accuracy here just wins for me. And this is a 5x portrait, and you can see the S25 Ultra here and the S24 Ultra here. No S23 Ultra because it doesn't have a 5x camera, and honestly, both of them are really amazing, guys. Let's go back to the main camera to restart your baseline, and guys, let's be honest there, guys. It's very, very similar, and I do understand that we do have the Snapdragon 8 Elite and there is a new ISP, and of course, yeah, some pictures like just the color rendition, it's gonna be better with the S25 Ultra, so they probably improved the color science in S25 series, and this is something good because Samsung are often blamed to be way too saturated, or let's say with excessive over sharpening. So in general, the S25 Ultra is feeling a bit better compared to the S24 Ultra, but it's just marginal improvements, and I cannot really say that wow, you know, it's a whole lot of new thing, because it's just not. And another shot from the main camera where you can see how close they are. So if we don't have any significant improvement in the main camera, and yes, it's the same, also almost no significant improvement in the ultra wide, although being 50 megapixel and probably capturing more light and more detail. What is going on here? And here a low light shot with the main cameras, and you can see it's a pretty comparable. And low light 3x is also pretty comparable. Then again, as in daylight, the moment we reach 5x, you can see that there is a clear difference. So the 5x from the S23 Ultra, it's a crop from the 3x camera, and it's not so good. And it gets even interesting with higher zoom at low light, because you can see that the S23 Ultra for sure struggles with an aperture on 4.9. It's not able to get a lot of light. And in this specific scenario, the S24 Ultra was able to get a brighter picture. And the more you push the zoom at low light, you can see that the S23 Ultra struggles and starts to produce green images. And the S25 Ultra in this scenario is even better than the S24. Another shot from the main camera to restart your baseline, and somehow the S23 Ultra here was better at exposing what happens here, the highlights. The S24 Ultra still not that bad, and the S25 Ultra struggled. Another shot from the main camera where you can see how close those three phones are. And yes, the S23 Ultra would overexpose a bit the shot, but it's nothing dramatic, guys. And you can just see it is very similar. Now, what happens when we start to pixel peep? Are we able to see some degradation? This is what matters, because I'm just thinking S25 Ultra is very close, if not even similar to the S24 Ultra, and there is some improvements compared to the S23 Ultra, although it's still the same camera. But overall, you can see how close all these three phones are, agree? And besides the new ultrawide in the S25 Ultra, the 10x optical zoom is still what differentiates this phone. See here, guys, this is a 10x optical photo from the S23 Ultra. This thing here is the same from the S24 Ultra, and this is from the S25 Ultra. And look at this, guys, like, you can clearly see the texture. You can see that this is wood and somebody carved this wood. And here, this looks like an AI drawing. Like, S25 Ultra probably improved a bit how the phone is handling zoom, that it's beyond 5x. But honestly, yeah, it's not great. And the S23 Ultra will still give you that really like real photographic look. So this is what I think about the S25 Ultra. Yes, the ultra-wide camera has been upgraded. Yes, the color science might be a bit better in some scenarios. And yes, also the front video, specifically in night, and the back video will show sometimes better colors. But overall, it is very close to what the S24 Ultra offers. And still, S23 Ultra will give you a competitive advantage when you're shooting more than 5x, guys. Yeah, let me know what you think down below in the comments, and stay safe. VST over and bye.